Welcome back to the channel. It has been over a week since I have recorded, posted anything. I came down with the flu, and even before then I was in a reading slump, which kind of just threw me into like a content slump as well. I just was in a slump. Today's video, I really wanted to talk about Parable of the Sower. I read it, I finished it a while ago. Not a while ago, it's been maybe like a week now. It was a buddy read with one of my very close friends, Rocky, and thank God for Rocky, because if I hadn't had her to bounce ideas off of and to like talk through as I was reading this, I think that the book would have left me with a much more negative impact than it did. So, unless, in case you couldn't tell, I didn't like Parable of the Sower. I know I'm in the very, very small minority of people that read this book and don't like it, but I didn't like it. I didn't. I think that maybe if I had read this when I was a little bit younger, I maybe would have enjoyed it. I think I would have liked it then, but I'm definitely in a place in my life, in the world that we live in right now, where I'm looking for hope. I need hope. I want to find happiness. I'm constantly trying to push myself in the direction of enjoying the small things, the little tiny things that are really kind of irrelevant, but can bring me a little bit of peace in my day. Parable of the Sower is quite literally the opposite. This book is very much so, it's an examination of what humanity will become when you have limited access to resources, when you have uncontained rage and sadness and all of the negativity that we carry with us that we tend to kind of keep under wraps because that's what's socially acceptable. I feel like Parable of the Sower puts characters in a world where you don't have to worry about being checked. It's a really dark and heavy book, and it left me with a residual when I was done reading. I feel bogged down whenever I think about it, and we took it really, really slow. We were reading in 60-page increments at first, and Rocky and I read a lot. Like, she reads multiple books at a time, and I kind of, maybe like two. After two, I start to merge plots and characters, but we read quite a bit. So 60 pages was like incredibly doable, but we got to a point where we were like, let's cut that down. Let's cut that down in half. Let's do about 30 pages. And I personally felt like I was being overwhelmed. I was being inundated with negativity. It honestly felt like I was watching the news. I don't scroll CNN on my phone I pick up the news when I feel like I need it, and I pick it up when I think, oh, I saw something kind of important, let me go look into it a little bit deeper. You're not gonna find me watching the news after work with some ice cream. No, I'm so sorry. I'm not doing that. I can't do it for my own mental health, and that is my choice. I think that we all need to choose how we protect our brains and our little hearts these days, but that's how I choose to do it for me. And Parable of the Sower felt like a never-ending newscast. It felt like every negative thing that could possibly existed in that book, within those pages. And I couldn't escape it. And it very much felt like I was trapped, like kind of like a Venus flytrap, like you can't go anywhere, you're stuck, and that's kind of the end of it. I think that was also an effect of the fact that it was written in first person point of view, because it's written as journal entries from Lauren's journal, right? As she is growing and developing and traveling for so long, they walked for so long, and coming up with Earthseed, which is her religion, how she wants her community that she's going to build to exist, and how she wants them to base their behaviors. Lauren is incredibly pessimistic, in my opinion, and not being able to escape that point of view, that perspective, is, for me, it was draining. I felt drained every time I closed the book. And if it hadn't been for Rocky, thank God, I think that I would have been a little bit more triggered. I think I would have been more triggered by some of the things we were reading, some of the things that were happening. And I think that there's a possibility that I would have walked away with a much more negative review of this book. But that is what buddy reads are good for sometimes. It is good to have somebody else who provides fresh ideas to the conversation when you're talking about a book. Because if you ruminate in only your thoughts about something, sometimes you can get stuck there, and then it just kind of you spiral If you would like some perspective that does involve spoilers, you're more than welcome to stay, because from here on, I will be talking about the book in detail, and I will give spoilers, and if you want to read it, I don't know if the spoilers will ruin it for you, but, this is your time to walk away. So when I pick up a book, I do want to read. I want to escape. That's why I'm picking up, for that escapism. So a book like Parable of the Sower that, while written in 1993, the setting of the book is the 2020s, basically, was kind of tough. It was a little tough for me because I was like, oh, all right, so you're going to put me back where I'm trying to get out of. All right, that's okay. I can do it because, people talk about Parable of the Sower and they're like, oh my God, there's so many things that are like similar to what we're going through right now. And like, yeah, there are to a certain degree. They're very much so exaggerated in this book, I think, in order to get the point across. But yes, there are a lot of things mentioned in this book that you could draw parallels to current day. Again, not exactly the book I probably should have picked up, but it was a buddy read and I wasn't going to back out of it, especially because the person I was reading with, I felt really comfortable reading something like this with them, which, again, if it wasn't for that buddy read, I don't know what I would be saying, if anything, right now. I might be like catatonic in a corner after reading that. So you have Lauren, who, she's a child when the book starts, and by the end of it, she's 18 over the course of the time skips and stuff. She lives in a community that is walled. It's gated in. The people in her community are not well off. They are all struggling. Everybody is struggling at all times, no matter where you go, what they have, what they don't have. Struggle, fighting to survive, to live. She's the daughter of a preacher, pastor, whatever. He talks about God. He preaches about God. The book is very much so rooted in religion, but not necessarily in your common mainstream religions, right? Lauren doesn't believe in the God that her father is preaching about and that her community believes. Basically, most people, is what I took from it, believe in this type of God, but she doesn't believe in them. She believes in this God, which is her own God that she has created based off of her experiences and what she sees. She doesn't talk to anybody about it really too much, and the moments that she does kind of backfire on her in the beginning. But Lauren's desire to create a new religion and to have a new idea of God really bothered me. It just felt like she was preaching to me, at me, the entirety of the book. And 368 pages is a long time for someone to preach, is all I'm saying. And that's a long time. So I was really happy when we went from 60 to 30 pages because I felt like I was cutting down on the sermon. She's an empath. Like, she can feel, well, I guess hyper empathy. There we go. Because she can actually feel the pain of others and the pleasure of others too, which was a little weird in one of the scenes. I was like, girl, you're a little weird. You're a little creepy, but whatever. So, like, let's say I have a paper cut. She can feel the paper cut. And then when she was a kid, I guess she could even bleed if somebody was bleeding. But as an adult, as an older child and an adult, that kind of faded. But she still got the pain and the pleasure. There were several instances where you see Lauren commit murder in an attempt to save herself because the person is basically dying and she's dying as a result of being close to that person and witnessing it. So she will off them in an effort to make her pain stop. I didn't love that. I didn't love the fact, okay, it always tended to happen when it was somebody who was trying to cause her or those around her harm. So, it was kind of like, oh, well, she's saving herself and she's saving others too by doing this. I felt like she was trying to play God with her hyper empathy. That's what I took away from her behavior, and I think that was just a result of being stuck in her perspective for so long. And the fact that she was so pessimistic. It just made all of the bad things going on so much worse. I felt like she was a very static character. I didn't really sense too much development or change from her. She often was telling others how poorly they were doing or the things they were messing up. And it was always because, well, I would do different. I would do it this way and this is the right way. And Lauren very much so had a God complex, in my opinion. She had a God complex, But there was nothing about Lauren that was endearing. There was nothing about her that I could connect to, nothing about her that I genuinely liked outside of her strength. She was a very strong character when it came to dealing with adversity and danger and all of that. But even then, she's dealing with it and she's surpassing it. But I feel like the way she's doing it is very, like, I have to make sure to keep you down in order for me to stay up here. And I know that that was the state of the world within the book. That's what the setting is literally that. I didn't love that experience, if I'm being honest with you. It's considering the fact that I couldn't attach myself to any of the other characters because Lauren didn't really have the best perception of them, except for Bancoli, but even him, it just felt like she was kind of using him at one point to get to his land, to have that land for her community. You know, she wants to build a community. The biggest thing she has to figure out is where are they going to go? And now she finds somebody who can offer that to her. I just felt like Lauren was very manipulative, but she was also very one-dimensional. I didn't really see any other sides of her. And I love characters. I'm a character-driven reader. If you're not going to drive that plot, if you're not going to really grip me with the plot, you got to get me with the characters. Otherwise, I don't have anything to connect to. I don't have anything to keep me rooted in the story. I don't understand what could happen in book 2. Like, what is book 2 going to be a place where we see her change, where we see her become something else, something different? Because quite frankly, I felt like from page whatever the story started to page 368 when it ended, she never did anything. She never really did much. And you know, you take that, a very static character and a very static story, in my opinion, and you throw on top of it this constant need to remind me of every single bad thing that's occurring. It just was exhausting. It was exhausting to hear at every turn, every time they found the body of a female, whether it be a small little girl, a teenage girl, a young adult woman, or a mature woman, she felt the need to remind me that this person, this deceased person, had been assaulted and violated. You don't need to do that every time. You said it the first couple of times when she's walking through her community after it's been ambushed by these people on drugs. And there's just bodies all over the place. Like, they're literally being massacred by these people on this drug. And Lauren just feels like it just felt repetitive. Like, every time she passed the body of a female, she felt the need to point out that the female had been violated. I'm like, you don't have to keep doing that. You don't have to keep describing what they looked like to me and what, like, I got it. I get it. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I don't love repetition in my books. I don't like it because I feel like you're trying to drill home something that I already understood the first 1 or 2 times you said it. And 2, in a book like this that's so heavy, you're just making it even heavier. And for me, the type of reader that I am, it disconnected me. It pulled me out. I was never really in, to be honest with you, but it really just convinced me that I didn't really have any stakes in this story. I didn't really have anything to be worried about in this story. And that happened to me with Game of Thrones when I tried to watch it. It was too much violence. It was entirely too much violence aimed at women that I just couldn't. I didn't see how we were furthering the story by just not laying off of this one thing, right? And the same thing in this book. It happened, and it wasn't just that. On top of it, it was the violations of women. It was the racism. It was the brutality in which these people are violently aggressing each other. It was literally just non-stop. It never stopped. I thought for sure when Lauren met Bancoli that at that point, when I was like, oh, she's really going to get with this guy, I was like, all right, we're going to get some type of levity from that. Nope. Because immediately after, I felt like she jumped into, how can I use this man to get what I want and what I need for myself? How can I use him? It's just, yeah. Just wasn't the book for me. They come from just like nothing, basically. Like, everything's taken from them. And they leave. And there was never any happiness at the beginning of the story either. It's not like, oh, we had a nice life. And then it was just desperation from the beginning. And then what little they could have said they had is ripped from them. And then it just kept going. It stayed static, even in that sense. Like, there was no like, oh, it got really, really bad, and then it got a little bit less bad. It was just bad, 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 bad. If you're like me and you do need to have a little bit of something good, just a little bit, so I can latch onto it and hold on to it while I'm reading all this other bad stuff, right? If you need that, I don't know that Parable of the Sower would be the greatest book for you to pick up. Or if you're going to pick it up, be very, very aware of the fact that there's like, I can't tell you if there was anything good. Nothing good happened. And I guess for me, it just that I don't like reading books like that, I guess. I don't know. Obviously, it's a me thing. Reading is subjective, like I always say. But that is, I don't want to keep going any deeper into it, because when I think about Parable of the Sower, it genuinely does, it really does affect me negatively. Like, I start to think about all the things I read and I just don't like it. I thought it was going to be something else. I really did. Honestly, and I am going to take accountability for that. I should have done a little bit more research before picking this up, because I think that if I had, I probably would have known, I don't think this is the book for me. So maybe I won't pick it up right now. But I didn't. I went based off of the trends, how trendy the book is and how much everybody likes it, and it is what it is. I mean, I don't regret reading it, which is good. I have had books where I'm like, I wish I hadn't read that. I don't regret it. I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I was able to come up with my own opinion on the book. And I'm really glad that I'm in a place where I feel comfortable saying how I feel about the book, knowing that I'm kind of in the minority. That is my review of Parable of the Sower. I am done talking about that book. Thank you for watching, as always. And of course, happy reading.